Okay. So we want to know about our heritage. Who came from where, and you had talked about Grandma and Grandpa Steiger coming from Germany, but they really didn't come from Germany, I guess.
Came from Switzerland.
Yeah.
How did they get to Switzerland? What was the sequence of events?
Well, my grandmother,
Her name was
Wilhelmina,
Hertz, right?
yeah, Wilhelmina Hertz, and she was a really pretty girl, and their parents wanted to pick the person that she would marry, which was a lot older guy.
I'd like to do that too.
Do you have any idea of roughly how old she was at this point?
No, I don't.
Okay.
And so she decided she would leave home, and she went to Switzerland to work as probably like a nanny or something like that.
Okay.
And my grandfather, who was from Germany also,
And he was?
Casper Staudiker,
Uh-huh.
and he was in Switzerland. That's where they met.
They're both from Germany, but they were in Switzerland.
We're in Switzerland.
Any idea where in Switzerland?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't. And then they came to the United States. Now I don't know if I don't think there's any place that you can leave by ship from Switzerland. I don't think.
No,
So
I'm
they
pretty
probably had
sure
to
they don't.
They had to probably come back to Germany to board the ship.
Do you know how long she was in Switzerland before she met Casper?
No, I
Do you roughly have an idea of when they left Europe, like what kind of year to come to the U.S.?
don't. Well, my dad was born in 1898, and his brother was quite a bit older than him.
Who was the oldest?
Tony was the oldest than my dad. They only had 2 boys. That's all they had.
Oh, okay. I didn't
That's
know that.
surprising.
Yeah.
it is.
So,
So there's a pretty good age difference between Tony and
yeah. So, 1890, it could have been something like around 1880 or something when they left Germany.
Wow. Now, when he came from Germany, do you know what?
They came from Germany through Ellis Island, and they were going to go to Missouri, I think it was, because he knew somebody in Missouri who was going to go to get work. And they stopped in Pittsburgh, and there was a job in the brickyards carrying bricks. And so he took the job in the brickyards.
Okay.
And then he went from there. They had like a hall.
Any idea how long he was in the brickyard?
No.
Okay.
Then they had this hall which he ran, which was like a community center in those days.
Right.
It was more than just a beer garden. They played pool there. All their marriages were there. The kids were there. The whole entire families would go there. It wasn't just a place for men to go. It was the entire family.
Right.
And then he ran that for some time, and then he wanted a raise, and they wouldn't give him a raise, so he quit there and bought a farm in Brookfield.
Is Brookfield around Hubbard?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when World War I came, Tony was already married, so my dad went into the Army, and so they couldn't run the farm, so he sold the farm and bought the house in Hubbard.
Okay, so he bought the house in Hubbard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, that was my mom's. My dad never really owned the house.
Really?
Yeah, it was my grandma's house.
Okay.
And he was like a janitor at St. Patrick's.
Okay. Now, how about your mom's side of the family,
Lynch
the
side.
Lynches?
Well, her dad was Fergus Lynch, and her mother was Julia Carr. And
C-A-R-R?
I don't know, Carr, I don't know, I guess.
That's usually the one that's
I
spelled.
think
Yeah.
for my baby book, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think Mom wrote that in the baby book. It was C-A-R-R.
And I think one was from County Mead in Ireland, and the other one was,
So they were immigrants as well.
yeah, they were both in Ireland. And I would imagine they married before, they came over, and they would have come over about the same time as my other grandparents.
So your mom and dad were both first generation born.
Right, yes.
Which would make you 2 and us 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then they settled in Pittsburgh, and her father was a policeman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And on the Irish side of the family, everyone was either a policeman or a fireman, it seemed like.
Right.
And then he was a tall, slender fella. And I I think he caught pneumonia and died. He died. And both of the grandfathers died at younger ages.
Did you know either one of them?
No. Which I guess was the norm back in those days. It was either they worked themselves to death or whatever. They were, the men were more subject to dying. The women outlived them by usually twice the amount.
That stinks.
Yeah. Well, you gotta figure my grandma was 95.
Yeah,
I don't know what Casper was. He was probably around 40 or something there when he died.
that
maybe.
young.
Well, I never knew him, so I don't know exactly.
Right.
And I think my mom's dad was only like 30 something when he died.
Now, did you know your grandma Lynch?
Yeah, but not real well.
Okay.
Because she lives in Pittsburgh. And,
So the only grandparent you really knew was your grandma Stoddard?
yeah, she lived with. I knew
Lived in
her
the house.
all my life.
Yeah, I would guess that she was in the house.
Yeah, just like,
So she's almost another parent.
right. It's just like my mother.
Now, when did she pass away?
Well, she was like 95 when she died, so I don't know what year that would be, but
She saw Paul and Patricia being born, didn't she?
yeah.
Yes,
I think there was a picture someplace
I
of
think I was
Patty and
about
Paul
three-
by the grave or something
about
like
3
that, if I
years,
remember
3,
right.
4 years old. I remember going to see her grave
Yeah.
in Hubbard there.
So,
I can actually remember going into that bedroom. She just stayed in that front room.
yeah.
I can remember.
Here's one for you. I remember you telling me something along the lines of each night before she went to bed, that she would take one drink of
Wine, a little shot glass of wine.
wine.
Yeah.
Any idea what it was?
Port wine.
Port wine, okay.
Yeah.
And it was just one at bed each night.
Yeah. We used to always get after her to get it so she'd give us some. Yeah.
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Usually it was a bribe. If you take it, then you go right to bed. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we'd agree to go to bed if we could get that little bit of wine, so we did.
You had mentioned to me once that on Sunday that your family would have a treat. What was that treat, and what was your part in it? Soda.
Well, a 3-layer coconut cake, is that what you mean?
No, you had told me about getting a quart of soda or something each Sunday,
Well, not necessarily every Sunday, but that was a treat when we did that.
and something about once walking home that you actually tripped and dropped it or
Yeah, I
something.
broke it.
But that one quart was for the whole family for that one
Yeah.
treat.
That was the only quarter, so there was no more.
And that's probably the longest trip home that you ever took.
Oh, yeah.
How did
It
you
wouldn't make you feel very good if you messed everybody else up.
How did you break your arm?
We had a telephone on the wall, and there was like a stand underneath it, and I ran for it, and I jumped to that thing, and it flipped out. And I flipped over, and I broke my arm, broke it here and broke it there.
How old were you?
5 or 6,
That young?
yeah.
Now, how bad are the breaks were they?
Well, it was in a cast like this, across my chest for like the entire summer.
Oh, really?
It was all cast. And just this part of it, my hand was sticking out here like this.
Yeah,
3 months.
And it stunk.
in the summer,
Because there was like a little place here and you could smell it stinking.
for the whole summer, when
Yeah.
you're sweating and you're hot and sticky.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So,
What about playing baseball when you were in the outfield and ran into somebody or something?
man, you remember all this, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say, wow.
Yeah.
Ask question.
Yeah. 2 of us run for the fly ball at the same time and we collided. And I got knocked out.
What
How
about
old were you there?
Gosh, I don't know.
Who'd you collide with?
I think Vic Fabian, I think, if I remember.
How long were you knocked out?
I don't know. They carried me all the way home. I didn't wake up until I was at home.
Was it like that evening or something? It was like half a day or something you were out?
No, I don't, probably not that long. You know, we used to play ball in that field back of our next door neighbors. That's where we played baseball.
I'm running out of battery here.
Ha-
What'd you guys eat all the time
You mean for what?
for meals
For breakfast, we always had Cairo syrup and bread.
and lunch?
Cairo syrup and bread.
It's a
And-
pattern here.
And dinner?
Well, then we'd have something different, you know, like vegetables and something.
What was the story about the ketchup bottle and Uncle Paul?
It's gonna have to be a short story because the batteries.
We need to end on a happy
Yeah,
note.
that might not be a good thing to tell.
How did you propose to Mom?
See, I don't really know exactly.
Tell us a little bit of something about your brothers and your sister. Just something real quick. What stands out in your mind about each one? You're the oldest.
Yeah, and Paul was next, then Bill, and then Mary Jane. Mary Jane was like 8 years younger than me. There's 18 months between Paul and me, and 18 months between Paul and Bill.
Did any of them have any special nicknames?
It's called Paul Squeaky. I don't know if you should tell that.
Squeaky because he was so fast.
He was fast, he was skinny, but he was real fast.
And what
Yeah.
was the trick that he used to play on you guys all the time when you were playing in the yard?
He'd run real fast, and then he'd step down and you'd flip over top of him.